topic today, nor did I plan on talking about it on Coffee with Alain. However, we don't always get what we want. And because of the tragedy yesterday in Twin Falls, Idaho, at the In-N-Out fast food chain, that's what I spent this morning writing about. And that's what we're going to talk a little bit about this morning on Coffee with Alain. I hope everybody's enjoying their weekend. You know, it was just a week or so ago that I posted a picture of my daughter and I eating at a Vegas In-N-Out on one of our trips to Vegas and California. That was the trip where we spent a few days in Vegas and got the upgraded room. We had a suite in the hotel that was bigger than our house. Literally, our house only has 2 bathrooms. That place had 3 or 4 bathrooms. I mean, it was huge. And then we went to California and went to Universal Studios. Daughter's a Harry Potter fan, and that was our first time to go one of the Harry Potter themed areas of Universal Studios. But we had to stop at In-N-Out a couple times going through and from Vegas. When I posted that, somebody mentioned that there was a new one in Twin Falls, Idaho. It just opened a week or so ago. And that's actually the closest one to Missoula here. But it's still sort of a long drive, so we don't hop in the car and head to In-N-Out. We sort of enjoy those when we're traveling. My last In-N-Out burger was in Vegas a little over a year ago, when my wife and I were there to see Rod Stewart and Penn and Teller celebrating our 25th wedding anniversary. You know, and I told my wife we have to go back to Vegas because the new one just opened there on the Strip. But it was all in fun. I love burgers. I really like In-N-Out. And then bam, the news yesterday. Another active killing, and this time at the In-N-Out in Twin Falls. So sort of a double whammy. One of my favorite locations to get a fast food meal, and the closest one to here, and a topic that I've been dealing with for a long time now. And it just continues. And this tragedy yesterday, this senseless act of violence, illustrates why it's still an important topic. You know, at times when a big major killing happens, my book sales spike and I'll get called a little bit more to go do trainings. And then we won't have an incident for a while and the book sales start to drop off and not as many people want to talk to me about trainings, and it sort of gets pushed behind. And then bam, something else happens that shows that these things still happen. It's still a relevant topic. It's still something to have a plan for. And it's only prudent to have a little preparation. I don't teach people to be scared and not go to restaurants or stores or concerts or movies or bars or nightclubs or sporting events. All of these different locations have had these type of killings. You can't think of a type of location that there hasn't been a killing at. Got to throw churches and houses of worship in there. Yeah, I don't tell people not to do those things. I teach people how to go out and enjoy life. Be capable, be competent, have a plan, and enjoy. And if something bad does happen, they're a little bit more prepared to deal with it. And it's not being turned into a Navy SEAL or an Army Special Forces operator, but it is heightening our awareness, paying attention to exits and ways to get away, escape routes, being conscious of what could be cover, what could be concealment. Cover actually being able to stop bullets. Concealment, if they don't see you, they might not shoot or might not come after you. knowing some simple ways to attack back and stop a killer, because they have been stopped by people. I mean, it takes a while for law enforcement to show up, and normal people have stopped these killers, sometimes with a handgun or a firearm of their own, sometimes with an improvised weapon, sometimes with nothing but their hands and swarming and tackling the guy and pounding on him. It's the mindset more than the tool. You know, I teach tools like how to use a fire extinguisher to defend yourself if that's all that's available, and they're available in all public buildings. Teach people how to deny access. You know, you can barricade, get behind cover, do something where that person doesn't have access to hurt you. Because those really are your three responses. We either escape, we deny access, or we attack back and take the guy out. Which one you do will be determined by where you're at, where the killer's at, and the environment you're in. But I also teach and think we need to do a better job at recognizing warning signs and getting people help before these situations even occur. Now, there's very little information about yesterday's killing. From what I understand, 3 people were killed, 7 more in the hospital. The shooter was also killed, and I don't know if he's one of the 3, which makes the total body count 4 dead or not. They don't have all the information out from the articles that I read. Still under investigation. Law enforcement said it was chaotic, which all of these situations are. So we don't know a whole lot. But I suspect, based on studying hundreds and hundreds of these situations, that there were some signs, some warning signs in the last few weeks, maybe months, even a year, that something was wrong with this individual. This individual is upset over something and was leaning toward a violent act. I suspect there were warning signs because so many of these situations there are. And so often people ignore the warning signs. I think we need to do better at recognizing, intervening, getting these people help before something bad happens. That is first and foremost. And then we can do things like hardening targets, making it more difficult for these people to create the havoc they do and kill the people they do. And then we can have plans for institutions, what to do in the case of an event like this, and personal plans, what you will do if a situation like this occurs in your vicinity. And that plan will change depending on your circumstances. My plan was much different when I was alone versus when I was working security and responsible for others versus when I'm with my wife and daughter, when I'm responsible for them. So plans and priorities will change, but the responsibility to keep yourself and those you care about safe is always there. I've written about that before. So I'm going to do a newsletter article on this situation, on this event. It'll be in today's newsletter, goes out at enjoylifesafely.com. And I will continue to train people and help people and do what I can in this spectrum. It's a sad day. You know, feelings go out to those people in Twin Falls because this just shatters a community. I mean, there's probably, 50, 60,000 people in Twin Falls. It's not that big of a place, probably a little bit smaller than Missoula. And they got an in and out before we did. I guess we're too far out of the supply chain. But, you know, it's a small community. So something like this ripples through and affects everyone, not just the people that were there, the first responders, then the families and friends of those that were there, but it ripples through the entire community. And my thoughts are with all of them. And I will just continue to do what I can do to help people be better prepared and help people better recognize and hopefully stop these events before they ever occur. Jay said good morning. And Jay also said it's a sick world. At times it is, Jay. There's so much good out there. There are so many wonderful, great people and so many wonderful things to do. But unfortunately, we have problems. We have people with problems. We have people that are sick that create this needless violence and ruin it for so many and scare so many others. And I don't want people to be scared. I want people to be empowered so they can go out and enjoy all of the wonderful good things. Thad is here and said, what a tragedy. Thank you for what you do to help prevent these senseless killings and help people stay safe. Thank you, Thad. I appreciate that. And I will keep doing what I can do. There's quite a few of us out here that are trying to help people and trying to keep people safe, as well as all of the first responders all through all of our communities that are doing things to help people and keep people safe. And unfortunately, it only takes a few bad ones to create such havoc and chaos and fear and terror and tragedy. And we just need to do the best we can to prevent those and have a plan for if it occurs. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate everybody watches, comments, watches replays, listens to the podcast. I'll have more in this week's newsletter that will go out this evening. If you're listening to this today, you can sign up at enjoylifesafely.com before that goes out. Have a nice Sunday. Have some thoughts for those in Twin Falls, Idaho. And I'll be back to talk to you tomorrow.